Film Rage presents Verbal Masturbation with Bryce and Jim.
Well, thank you, Ryan Kruger from the fantastic movie Fried Berry. We cannot thank you enough for being on our sweet little Canadian podcast, which seems to hit a few locations around the world these days.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, we are super pumped. We have a thing on our podcast, and seeing as how we've just started a new series on our podcast, we're in now episode 97, but we're going to be starting doing interviews, and you are our second one. We have created a brand new game that we play with our guests just to get them a little loosened up, and it is called Or. And I have been told by Bryce that I don't need to give you a lot of explanation. I just have to do it and see what you say. So it's kind of like Fuck, Marry, Kill, but nothing like Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
You don't need to.
Okay.
It's true. It's just Or. So, in the fashion of South African music, I'm going to start with Francois Van Coke or Die Antwoord.
Francois Van Coke.
Okay. Tex Bar or Tempo Bar.
Don't know either.
Okay, well, they're supposedly delicious South African chocolates. So I guess we'll have to find out.
What is it called?
Tex, Tex bar or a Tempo Bar.
Okay, I think I'll go for the Tempo Bar.
Sounds like it's pretty rocking. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Christopher Walken or Steve Buscemi.
Christopher Walken by far.
Okay.
I do like Steve Buscemi, but Christopher Walken, he's a legend.
He's a bit of a legend. I agree. The Thing or Halloween.
The Thing.
Okay. Goblin or Tangerine Dream.
Tangerine Dream.
Okay. These are getting tougher as we go. So just so you know. David Cronenberg or Wes Craven.
David Cronenberg.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the correct answer, by the way. Every other one doesn't, but being Canadian, he's like a god to us. Okay.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
Copenhagen or Oslo?
Copenhagen.
Is it because of the wooden shoes?
Yeah, it's because of the wooden shoes.
Okay. Dumplings or pierogies?
Pierogies.
All right. Okay. Anal probe or catheter?
Definitely anal probe.
That is also a very correct answer for our show. We do like to stick things in our asses. So so far you've made the pass. And the last, but certainly not the least, exercise or exorcise.
I'll go for exercise.
Okay, that's a boy. Puts a cigarette down and goes for a run. I love it.
That's the first thing I do after I get out the gym. I just light up a cigarette.
Nice. That's awesome. So tell us how things went in Ukraine. What was going on in Ukraine, and have you been there before?
No, so it was it was the first time in Ukraine, a place that I thought I'd probably never go to in my life. But it was really cool. It was really awesome. Last year they screened Fried Barry, and this year I got invited to screen #Meow2, but I also convinced them to play Fried Barry again, because I thought if I'm going all that way, it would be nice for them to, replay the film, and then at least they can do like a Q&A and everything. And yeah, it was awesome. A great crowd, nice big festival, looked after us well, and yeah, it was awesome. And then while we were there, we went to Chernobyl and stuff like that. So yeah, it was It's pretty cool. But the food wasn't good in Ukraine. I missed.
Lots of pierogies though.
Yeah. But it was just I don't know. It's just like when you're used to like a certain quality of like food and like good food. Maybe we just went to like all the wrong places, but it couldn't have been all of them. So I like good food. So
yeah, I also like good food. We travel for food, so I know what you're saying. Like when you go somewhere, and it's like, wait a minute, that was like us in Venice. Actually, people say, "Oh, Italy's so great." You go to Venice, and every place you eat tastes like shit. It's like, oh, this is a McCain's, or we call it McCain's frozen pizza. No, this was an Italian Venice style pizza. Tastes like it was heated up from a microwave.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the most important question we're going to ask you today is, how are our fried berry underwear coming along? It's summer here, so we want to be out on the streets advertising fried berry in front of the cinemas.
Yeah, we haven't looked into that yet. We've been we should actually get that. We should actually get that done. It's got to be like a tighty. It's got to be like a tighty whitey, you know?
Oh, totally. It's got to be tighty whitey, and it kind of is like, if you're gonna have merch, right? It is kind of the thing that you should have. That's what we think. We think
just on the crotch, just the space on the crotch, you know?
Yep, that's right. Right under the bullseye. There's
yeah.
You're not gonna miss this big berry package.
All right, now back to some more traditional questions. Who influenced you as a filmmaker? Obviously, I'm guessing John Carpenter was one, as you thanked him in the credits and whatnot. But who would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I love John Carpenter, love David Cronenberg. Those two for me, and David Lynch. Big major fans of them, but also major influence that you probably won't see in my work, but major influence is actually Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis was always I was always a huge fan of Jerry Lewis growing up. I just always admired him, for the acting, directing, writing, and producing. And yeah, he's awesome. And he's one of those guys that people either love him or hate him. But
he's very polarizing.
Yeah. He's zany.
Which I think is the way to be, really.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
Who wants to be loved by everybody?
Yeah.
First feature film. Tell us how Fried Berry, the short film from 2017, became Fried Berry feature-length film.
Yeah, when I shot the shorts, that time in my career, I mainly did like music videos. So I wanted to start a thing. I wanted to start making like a number of experimental films, and I knew it was going to be like a 4.5-year project, which I'm still working on now. And the whole point of that was just to have no rules, to do what I want to do and do my style of stuff, where I don't have to worry about, like a record label or getting on TV and all that stuff. So funny enough, Fried Berry, the 3-minute experimental, that ended up being my first, ended up being the first out of the experimentals. And it just did really well at the festival run, and we picked up awards. Random people started doing fan art, which was crazy because it was just like a short. But there was never ever a plan to make it into a feature. It was just a standalone experimental, but it was probably one of the first pieces of work that was totally me. That I didn't have to worry about, somebody saying, "Oh, you can't do this or you can't do that, or you have to get it on TV, so you have to edit it down and you have to cut this piece out or whatever." So it was very much like a fun passion project, making these experimentals. And it was only a few years down the line where I realized, I wanted to revisit more of the character and the style, and it just had to be the right story, right character, and everything fit into place and tick all the boxes. And then later on we had the movie Fried Berry.
So was it was the how did you get the budget for it then? Because going from shorts to feature is a huge jump, right? Like you did a bunch of shorts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was always known as a music video director in South Africa, so that was always like a stepping stone to go into features. And yeah, like you said, budgets, for a feature film and stuff like that. It's for independent filmmakers. It's hard to get budgets. It's hard to get investors, and especially with the type of film that Fry Barry is, nobody's gonna want to especially in South Africa. I mean, South Africa is quite conservative, so Fry Barry's definitely the first of its kind to come out of South Africa, and I knew nobody would want to put money into this film, so I didn't even ask. So what basically happened was I got the idea. I wrote a 50% scene brief breakdown within 3 days. I rang my producer that I only knew for about a month and a half, and I just said to him, "Hey, listen, I want to make a movie. I want to make it next month." And he was like, "Well, why do you want to make it next month?" And I was like, "Because if we don't make it next month, it's never going to happen. It's just going to get pushed back. It's getting prolonged. I've probably been in a situation close to making a feature a few times, and it just never happens. And sometimes you just got to do it yourself." And I said to my producer, he asked me, "Have you got money?" And I'm like, "Well, I've got a bit of money, and if you've got a bit of money, we can shoot this film over a period of time, but at least we're making a movie." So within the story, within the character, within the budget, everything had to be right because of continuity and using Gary Green, and everything just had to tick all those boxes for us to be able to pull this thing off. And a month later we started shooting, and I think once you get that day one in there, it's great because okay, we've started, now we've got to finish. So yeah, it was awesome.
Wow.
Nice. So the film played a lot of awesome film festivals: Cinequest, Fantasia, Grimfest. What was that like, especially in this age of pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, we had the world premiere at Cinequest in the States, and it was I think it was about 2 weeks before lockdown. So when lockdown came, I just thought, oh man, I make a film and now this shit happens, and now the film's just going to get lost. Nobody's going to, discover this film, and shit, it's just bad timing. And it was completely the opposite because, some places, a lot of the festivals, became online. So instead of 400, 500 people watching it at a festival, at a cinema screening, because it was online, we were getting 4,000 to 5,000 people watching it.
Nice.
And that happened with nearly every festival. So it really, the numbers just made more of a buzz, more people talking about it. So yeah, it was awesome. And then, along the way, there was some festivals that still did an actual festival that you could go to the cinema. And then, I was lucky to go to Sitges in Spain. I was lucky to go to Ukraine. So yeah, it was an awesome festival run. Yeah, just really created that buzz and chatting to people online. And I was super grateful for it in the end. And I think in the future, festivals should actually always have that option, to screen films online and screen films, at the festival. Because the thing is, when you go to a festival, it's impossible to watch all the films anyway. You know what I mean? So I think it's cool that festivals will probably make more money. I mean, because at the same time, some people go, "Oh, I want to go to this festival, but it's too far away, or I haven't got the money to go watch it." So I think it's good to have both. And for a filmmaker, there's more views, there's more people watching your movie, and at the end of the day, that's what you want. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think that might actually be the transition that film festivals make. I really believe that because we're heavily involved with a couple of film festivals here. We know the people that run them, and we work with them during festival time. And I have a feeling that that's where it's going to go. So I think you're right. I think it's good for directors and producers of
Yeah.
film. So I think they kind of realize that too. It's good. It's good that you noted that, and it's good that you had that mix of both. So that's awesome. That you got
No, definitely.
you got
it
what we
helped
like
it.
to call
Yeah.
you got like what we like to call in film rage the full berry is what you got.
Okay.
So apparently Canadians love your work. Have you been here before? Did you get the luck of ever coming to Canada?
No, I'd love to go to Canada, and I think I think if I ever had to move from South Africa to probably go live anywhere, it'd probably be Canada.
Oh,
And
cool.
I would, yeah, I mean, we've had people from like all over the world. Just you know what's really strange is that the people that know my work, over the years, it's just South Africa basically. So to do this festival run with my first feature, it's crazy that I've just built this fan base from like around the world, and we've had so many people reach out and messaged me on all different platforms. So it's been absolutely awesome, and it's been literally from like all over the world. So it's so weird to think now that I've got these weird fan bases like all over the world. So yeah, it's been awesome. It still hasn't even hit me that I've done my first feature, to be honest. I'm still thinking like, shit, I've done that thing that I've always wanted to do. It's awesome, and it's still hasn't hit me.
But now it's what that thing, same with the record industry, right? It's like, where's the next great Ryan Kruger project, right? So can you live up to Fried Berries thing, right? So obviously the new film, right? How's it doing?
You set the bar high.
Yeah, I set it really high.
Yeah, so that's the thing. But I think I'm meant to be shooting my next film in August, and I'm still busy with a few experimental films in post. But that's the thing. It's like I do love all genres, and at the same time, Fry Barry was designed in every way what it should be, and I think. I think the thing with doing other films, there is I've got many ideas that I want to do, but at the same time, I also got to be careful that people just don't think of me as just Fry Barry, where he can only do that type of stuff. So the next film is a horror comedy, and.
Nice.
But at the same time, it's just a more mature movie, if that makes sense. So it's just less crazy. It's different, but it's just less crazy,
Okay, well, we're excited because it's you, but we love the crazy. So it's
it's still crazy, but Fry Barry is fucking crazy. So it's just different. That's the best way to say it. It's just different. Like I'm a big fan of like 80s, 80s films and 80s horror and comedy. And I think, it's kind of lost in time with, there's a lot of these 80s like horror comedy films, like, like if you look at films like The Burbs, and you've got like this comedy, but there's the subject matter is like serious. So there's those serious moments, but then there's still the comedy, and we don't really get that. Like when we watch those films, you were always like, "Oh, they just don't make films like this anymore," or you know what I mean. So it's missing that certain thing. And then when they do try and do it, it's like it's not exactly the same. And but it's also, if you look at like Ghostbusters. So Ghostbusters is a comedy, but the subject matter when shit hits the fan, it's like it's serious. But there's always time for like a bit of jokes here and there. So it's very much like that. So I think that the next film is going to be very much like that. And then maybe the third one, what I actually wanted to do after Fry Barry is a more of a crazy film.
Okay. Well, so basically what you're saying is stay on your toes, because you never know what Ryan Kruger is going to give you.
Yeah, you have to wait and see.
That's awesome. So you kind of had alluded to it already with your comment about South Africa being kind of a conservative nature film, but we've seen in the last year probably more films coming out of South Africa than I've seen in decades. And I don't know what the film scene is like inside South Africa, but I just mean outside South Africa. To your point, you know, we haven't seen fried berry from any country really. But what do you feel the film scene in South Africa is like? Do you think that we're going to start seeing more films that come out of there, that maybe is fried berry the leader that's going to take the next evolution of South African directors to?
Yeah, well, I hope so. You see, the thing is, it's like the film industry is small here, but over the year, you know, even over the past 3 years, it's growing tremendously, and the films are getting better. There's a lot of cool stuff, you know, starting to come out of South Africa, which is great. And I think I think there's like I said before, like South Africa is like quite conservative, and fried berry is definitely the first of its kind to come out of South Africa. But I think, like I said, nobody would have put money into this film. But I also think, you know, the movie business is a business as well. And the thing is, there's a lot of producers in South Africa that just produce locally and not distribute overseas, which is fucking stupid. So the thing is, I think with fried berry, to see how well it's done and to see how far it's traveled and to see how many, you know, countries that we've released it in and everything, that, you know, they can really see like, fuck, it is totally viable to do this type of film, more so than other films that get shot here. And that's the thing. I think you should always know your market and know, you know, who you're actually making the film for, you know?
Yeah, it's true. If you're just making films for your own people, then, you know, what's the charm, right?
I think a lot of South Africans have a bad taste in their mouth for the majority of films that they do watch. Like I think most people in the film industry that I know, and people that's not in the film industry, a lot of them don't want to watch South African films, and that's because in the past there's been a lot of shit films. So, but I think this new wave of different filmmakers now and stuff and things that happen, I think it's opening that like a hell of a lot more now, and people are starting to go, fuck, we've really stepped up in South Africa and we've kind of doing our own thing. And then, you know, the other reason for me for making fried berry was that I hadn't seen this type of film, and it was that unique, you know, concept of, you know, we've never seen, you know, a drug addict get abducted by aliens. And I thought that's such an awesome thing that we haven't seen before. And that really just, you know, really made me want to make it more, you know?
Yeah. And we've seen enough anally probing, but we've never seen getting probed from both ends. So that was also a big plus, I have to say.
Yeah. Well, people always hint on it and they never show it, or they always talk about it, but they never show it. And for me, it wasn't like a shock factor or anything, you know. It's more, for me, it's more like I'm sure people look at it and go, oh, like they might be shocked by it, but I would say, you know, because I think people put stuff into films, you know, just as a shock factor. And with this, like, I mean, fuck, it's just a dick, you know, or it's just, you know, it's just an image or whatever. So it's like, for me, it's more of a like surprise. I would say that like, we actually did that, you know? So it's just like, I think a lot of directors and play it safe these days. And again, I think we live in the day and age where we can't do this. We're not supposed to do this. We can't say this. We can't say that. And I'm just like, it's just a fucking movie at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think we're supposed to, you know, we live in the generation of like remakes. So, I mean, you've got to, you know, you got to think out the box. You got to produce something different. Otherwise it's just the same shit as everything else, you know?
Yep. That's a big complaint that we have nonstop on our podcast is regurgitated film. That's just, if it's
even
not
even if it's not a remake, it's just, we know what film it is. They've just slapped a different title on it, you know, or if it's like, it was in the snow, but now it's in the sand. You know what I mean? It's just like a, you know, they just try and, you know, it was in space and now we make it in the desert or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just the slight little change of it, but it's the same fucking thing. Yeah. So, I mean, you can still have references from like other movies, but you still have to have that thing to make it your own and make it different, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. So did you hang up your acting skates now? We say skates in Canada. I'm not sure if they have ice skates very much in South Africa, but did you hang up your acting skates? Because now sounds like you're all about
I love I started out as an actor and then I went into directing, and it's always been a big love. Like I love, I mean, even in Fry Barry, I had that very small role I put myself in the bar. And yeah, I always, I work a lot as an actor and I work a lot as a director. So when I'm not doing one, I can do the other. So yeah, I'll always continue to do it. The only thing about acting is you have no control over your career, where you go to an audition, you either get it or you don't. And with directing, at least I can write my own content, and I have more control over that. So I mean, I think that most actors, we like, oh, I would love to play this role, or I would love to play that role. And the chances of them auditioning for that role when it does come up, it's like very, very fucking slim. So it's cool to create my own work and my own characters, and I have more of a chance of actually, getting it made and actually doing it.
So does it sounds like maybe you're going to eventually write your own opus then?
Sorry, say it again.
Well, that you're going to write your own opus for yourself, because if you got a role you've always wanted to play, you could write it into yourself, and then
I mean, I think for me, like I've never seen myself as, I'm a character actor, so I've never seen myself as like a lead in a movie or anything like that. I would just like to play like a cool character. It might be one scene, it might come in and out of it during the movie, but it's just a cool character piece, and I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, with the subject of leads, did you write Fried Berry with Gary Green in mind, or did you luck out and get him after coming up with the concept? And as a follow-up, how is this guy not a huge star?
Well, this is the thing. So like I said, everything had to be right to make this film. And when I say that, right character, right actor, right, because we're shooting it over a period of time and continuity and all that, because I mean, there's a lot of people, that haven't got budget for a film and then shoot it, and then people cut their hair, people lose wardrobe, and it's like, oh, they've got to film it over a period of time. So for me, when I had like 6 other scripts that I could have chose from to do, but when I got the idea and it came to me, like I said, I spent 3 days writing a 50% scene brief breakdown. And when I got the idea, I knew exactly how I was going to do it and exactly how it was going to work. So then I knew straight away, this is the only way to do this film with Gary Green as the lead, because Gary's he's not a trained actor, and his background is basically extra work and stuff like that. I met Gary about 11, 12 years ago, and I met him on an indie film, and then I started putting him in my like music videos as extras and featured part, and it just grew as time went on, because I always liked his face. He's always, he's got such an interesting face, and that's why I shot Fry Barry the short. So when I had the idea for the feature, I knew that I can't give Gary all this dialogue. It has to be the right story, right character, and everything. Yeah. So it just came hand in hand, where I'm just like, I know how I'm going to do this film. He's not going to speak, and then when he does mimic people and stuff like that, it's fine. It's all right, because even if it sounds a bit weird, it's fine. He's a fucking alien, so it doesn't really fucking matter, So it just, everything just like gelled and worked, worked right, and that was the thing. And then the interesting thing was, his character is like this kid. He mimics. He's like a sponge, and he mimics all these different things that he sees. And then when it came to directing, he also, he was mimicking me. So I was like off camera going, okay, Gary, like copy my face. Now do this face. Now do this face. Now scrunch up your face, and raise your eyebrows more, open your eyes more, and pull your face to one side. And it was literally like that. So it was interesting that he was mimicking people, and then when it came to directing, he was mimicking me. And a lot of the other characters in the movie, a lot of the other actors, I did some improv with, but Gary was the only one that didn't do any improv because I had to, because he's not a trained actor, and I needed exactly what I needed from him. You know, he didn't know what was going on until 40 minutes to an hour before filming. So I needed that clean slate every single day, so he wouldn't prep anything, he wouldn't overthink anything, and there was no major, you know, like script. You know, a lot of the main dialogue I wrote for all the other actors, and you know, there was bits that I wrote, but I also wanted to, you know, open it up for improv and new ideas, and nothing was set in concrete, and that's where some of the gems came from. But yeah, with Gary, yeah, I didn't want him to try and improv. I didn't want him to pre-learn something and then I have to work it out of him to get him to that clean slate again. So it was cool, I think, the way that I did it, that he didn't know what we were doing until right there and then. And I think that helped tremendously.
Yeah, his facial expressions too. Some of the things you got him to do. The one scene, I can't remember where it was, but it looked like it was all CGI that he had affected himself that much. I'm like, that was crazy.
Which bit? Which bit?
Oh, it was near the beginning of the film, and he did this side thing where he contorted his whole face on the side.
Oh yeah, I think like, in the club. Yeah, so I think it was in the nightclub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's about only about 2 clips. I think one was in the nightclub, and then the other one is out on the street where he meets those 2 other drug addicts, where we just warped his face like a little bit.
Oh, you
so
did?
I'll be like,
okay.
yeah. So, but it's funny because a lot of people go, "Can he really do that with his jaw?" So it was literally, the odd time. I'd be saying to him, "Okay, now put your jaw to the side, like try and do it more. Okay, now try and keep really still." And then obviously in post we just like warped it out like more.
That's awesome.
And but even apart from that, he does have a very what's the word?
Yes, elasticity.
Like, yeah. He can just maybe his face, because everything I was telling him to do, it would always be more exaggerated on his face because of the way his face looks. So and that's why I would say to him, like, scrunch your face up, or raise your open your eyes more, but relax the bottom of your mouth, or vice versa.
God.
So it was a lot of that all the way through.
Because
I was busy editing in my head. So while I'm telling him to copy me, we've got this shot of the other guy. So then I'm busy editing it, going, okay, I need this reaction. Okay, I've got that bit. Now I need this reaction. And that's also what gave it a lot of comedy. So it looks like, Gary's hitting all these like comedic beats,
Nice.
Perfect. So how soon into the festival circuit did Shudder pick up your film, and how has that partnership been?
I'm trying to remember now how far into it was. I think it was, I think it was quite early, but we couldn't speak about it for like the longest time.
Yeah.
But yeah, working with them has been awesome, and I really think Shudder is a great home for Fry Barry, and I think getting that extra exposure from them, and the Joe Bob Briggs drive-in and everything like that, it really just pushed it to the next level with even more people checking out this film.
More eyes on your product.
Yeah, and I think Shudder does that. You know what? Like when you start thinking of other streaming sites, Shudder does a better job because it only brings on so many movies, and it always shows up in the new feed. So what's new for that week for Shudder. Every other one doesn't do it as good as Shudder. So yeah, kudos. That's a great land.
And it's been awesome. Like the amount of people that that reached out and everything, and especially on the last drive-in, it was insane. I mean, when it was on the last drive-in, I couldn't even keep up with it. Like it just went crazy. And the next day I found out it was the 3rd most trending topic in America on that day, which was
that's
insane.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hashtag Pride Barry.
Great.
I love it.
Yeah.
So tell me about Heiser and this amazing original score and sound design. How did this collaboration come about?
Yeah. Yeah, you pronounce it Hazer. But
Hazer.
a lot,
All right.
yeah. Don't worry, a lot of people, some people have actually pronounced it like that. Yeah, Hazer's brilliant. He's an amazing artist, and I've known Hazer for quite a while. And when I started those experimental films, he does all the sound design and music for all the experimentals that I do. And I knew from when I did the Fry Barry the short, it was the first time in my career where it was like, shit, this is like his sound design and my work. It just goes hand in hand, and I've been looking for that for a hell of a long time. And yeah, and we just worked so well together. And when the feature came along, I had nobody else in mind. It was just like, it has to be Hazer to do this. And I think, a lot of filmmakers underestimate, somebody scoring your movie instead of people just getting like the odd friends band or free music library and stuff. You really want to uniform your movie. And I know with this type of movie, it was super important to have Hazer score this movie, because it's a big part of the movie. And like everybody that watches this movie always compliments us on the sound design and music. And when I first started chatting to Hazer about Fry Barry, once he knew what the world was and what I was looking for, and I gave him a few references, I just let him run with it, because I know I love his style, and I love what he does. And especially when it came to like the abduction scene with sound design, I would sit there with him and I'd be like, you need this sound or you need this sound. And, I'll try and make the sound He'd be look at me, but he knew exactly what I was talking about. And and it's just super nice guy. And I would definitely, the movie wouldn't be the same without Hazer. And I think it's one of those things where, it's like if you look at Blade Runner and Vangelis, you take Vangelis away from Blade Runner, it'll be a completely different film. You know what I mean? So it's so important to have that. And I knew very much from the start, we have to score this movie. It's like, the amount of films, when you were younger and you watched, whether it was like Stand By Me or The Burbs or Empire of the Sun or Star Wars or whatever film it was, a lot to play that you loved about these films, what always people forget, it's the feel and the tone and that music that while you're watching it, you're just like, it brings back so many memories, and that's why it was a big part of why you loved it. And some people don't always comment on that, they just comment on the film, but the music is even like you watch like Poltergeist and you watch that opening scene, as it starts with the music in the neighborhood or whatever, and it's such a big part of the movie. And I just think it's so important, and there's a lot of people that forget how important it is.
It brings an atmosphere right to the film that you just don't get. Is he known?
Well, it changes everything, because you could have like one scene, like for example when Barry, after the club and Barry gets taken back to that girl's place, even just to have a certain tone of music over that scene, because the other thing is we don't know how bad this alien is yet, so we're just like, is he going to kill her? What is he going to do to her? And that tone of the music, you just think like, oh shit, like he's going to just fucking kill her now, and which completely the opposite happens. But you know what I mean? It's like it really sets the tone. Yeah,
he kills her, all right, but not the way you think. So is he known for like film, or is he known for his other projects?
Hazer?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. So he's known, I would say, as a DJ, doing his like tracks, doing his music, and then but he also does a lot of he started to do a lot over the past few years, scoring bits of films and stuff like that. But I think I think since Fry Barry now, I think he's maybe got into it like a lot more, and I'll definitely 100% work with him again, without a doubt. So but he's mainly, I think he's mainly known as a DJ, and that's how originally I heard of him back in the day. And eventually we started working together, or I would chat to him here and there. So yeah, he's awesome. Like, he's so cool.
It's going to be like Elfman and Burton, right? It's just going to
Elfman's
synonymous, right?
Yeah.
Sweet.
No, definitely.
All right. So you took a little shot at Disney in the bar scene. Are you sure you want to mess with Mickey?
Yeah, I just when it came to that writing that scene, I just thought it was like super interesting, and the more I digged and researched it, I was just like, oh, this is cool. Because it was almost like that conversation in like Stand By Me, where I'm trying to remember now. It was like, who would win in a fight with like Goofy or Superman or something like that, and I was just trying to think of something cool like that we all know of, but we don't know why they always wear gloves. And I just thought that was really, that was just a cool, a great piece of dialogue to explore, and also have the right character that's, thinking too much, and he's just, sits there thinking about like a lot of shit. So yeah, I just thought that was a, cool touch to put in there.
Right.
And you're like, fuck Disney, whatever. It's me.
I'm sure they've thought about it as well. I'm pretty sure they've thought about it.
So that intro to the movie, is that like a real thing, or did you create that? Because that was starting that movie off with that was brilliant.
The certification.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, so we created that, and you see, I don't know what it was like when in the 80s with you guys growing up, but like in England, every single VHS you would rent from the video shop, or just before a film would start on TV, it would always be the certification guy. So I think, isn't it? What was the guy's name originally? It was something Bates. I can't remember. But every time you rented a video, it'd always be this guy go, "This film is rated 18," and he would go on about why nobody, at that age, anybody below shouldn't watch this film. And he did the same thing for PG and whatever 15. So for me, it was a very big thing growing up, because the whole family you would either fast forward it, or your friends or your family, we would all like read along with it because we've heard it like a million times. And so for me, it was like a big thing growing up in the 80s and loving 80s films and stuff like that. I was like, I've got to stick that in. The same as the middle of the movie for the the break.
That was
so awesome.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was such a cool thing to put in there, because they don't do that anymore. And that was the thing. It's like you'd go to the cinema, and now it's just like you could sit there for 3 hours with no breaks, and you've always got to, like, if you do need the toilet, you got to run to the toilet and run back, and you're going to miss the best bit. So I think within the story and where it is in the movie, I just thought it was a great time to have a break, to go back to that 80s sort of style. But on top of that, make it, within the story, because Barry gets like knocked out, and then you also, it's almost like we're in his head, and that's why the adverts come up, and he's a part of the advert that he saw earlier. So it was interlinked.
It was super cool. And it's funny, we in Canada, we never got any of that. We just got the rating would show up at the front of the film, and in you go. Yeah. I wish we'd had something that cool. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. But that's why you spend so much time just going, fucking hell. You've heard this like a million times,
Yeah, probably by about the millionth time, you're like, I got to go forward, or make it a drinking game, right? Which reason is he gonna give for kids shouldn't watch this one, right? It's like you have a lottery or whatever. So how long did the shooting actually take?
Yeah, so we actually shot the movie over a year and a half, but we only shot 28 days. And that's, it was, quite a long time to do it. But again, like I said, everything had to be right to shoot it over that period of time. And that's why I always say, like, Fried Barry's like a road movie. but there's no car, and Barry's the car, and he's, you're going on this journey. So everybody he meets, we have their scene, and then they're done and they're out the way. So the main continuity of the movie is Barry. And as long as Barry looks the same, then we don't have to worry about any continuity, as there's only two other characters, the sex worker and his wife, that comes back into it, and that's it. So no other, really no other character kind of comes back into it. So once we're done with their scene, they're done and finished. And that was a part of the big plan as well, just to so we didn't have to worry about continuity.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really smart design, especially because you were funding it yourself, right?
Yeah. So every time, but it was good to do it that way as well, because it also, we also knew what we had, what we didn't have, and what we needed. So, and it was also great to be able to plan. So it was like shoot, plan, and then we could shoot again, and then we would plan, and it gave us enough time to plan, because if we shot this 28 days straight, the movie wouldn't be nowhere near as good. So it gave us enough time to think. And Fry Barry is definitely one of those films, you either love it or you hate it. You either get it or you don't. And I think you got to go into Fry Barry being very open-minded, because the people that don't like Fry Barry, they just see it as, oh, he does this, and it's all pointless. But there's a lot of depth in Barry. There's a lot of depth in that movie, where it's, we show the dark side of humanity, and we show how crazy society is, and and even with the character that he's this kid, and he's just it's basically alien tourist, and he's just sponging up all this information, and most importantly, the heart of the movie is his wife, and she was such a big part of the movie. And while we were shooting it and we were planning other scenes, we were like, shit, we actually need more of his wife, because during the making of it, we realized how important she was to the movie. So yeah, there's a lot of depth, and there's a lot of like I said, about humanity and society, and how crazy it is. And it's not the alien that's crazy, it's us. And it's, we're complicated, human beings. We do some like crazy shit. It just happens to be that, Barry, gets abducted, and, the aliens abduct this drug addict instead of a 9-to-5er, which would have been a completely different story.
Yeah, that movie.
So in the story and everything that happens, and because of the character, he's just he just goes down all the wrong roads. He bumps into all the wrong people. And yeah, I always laugh, because it's almost like, if there was a pre-scene and an end extra scene, it would be like the aliens going, right, so we're going to get you. We're going to get you a body. We're going to drop you off. Just take loads of notes, have fun, go to Earth, have fun, see who you meet, and come back to us and just, tell us what you thought of Earth. And then, at the end, he would come back and he'd be like, yeah, they just love doing a shitload of drugs. They love sex. They just have sex like all the time. And yeah, so I just thought it would be funny to have all those, things in there. But again, Fry Barry's designed to take you on this journey. It's designed to take you on this trip as Barry, or to go with Barry on this trip. And that's, it's meant to feel disjointed. It's meant to feel that you're on this drug trip, and that's the design of it. So, and that's why if you don't go into it open-minded, you're just going to have a bad trip, and you're not going to enjoy it. So even though the movie's got a lot of comedy, a lot of dark humor, has that genre mashing thing, like I said, there's a lot of depth, but at the same time, it's just a crazy film. You also can't take it too seriously, you know, and that's why like Baby Barry comes into it and all that stuff. Like you got it's just a film, you know, don't take it too seriously and just, you know, just have fun with it. And the more open-minded you are, the more fun you're gonna have. And that's the thing. And it really doesn't, I know that this film is definitely not for everybody. And we've had our target market absolutely love it. We've had our non-target market absolutely love it as well. And that's the thing. It's you know, when you try something different and something new and you do a different structure, not everybody's going to like it, but that's okay. And as I always say, how many films do we watch 10 minutes of and switch it off? How many films do we watch and go, that was fucking shit, never going to watch that again? And you don't even tell anybody about it. So the one thing I knew when I came up with this concept, the one thing I knew was straight away was, if you watch this movie, whether you like it or not, you will remember it and you will talk about it. And that's it. And so when people don't like it, or people love it and rave about it, or the people that don't like it, it's like, it's cool, they're talking about it. It's already worked. You know, and they could be telling somebody, going, oh yeah, this happened, and then this fucking happened, and then there's a baby, and he's the man, and they'll be just like, that actually sounds all right. That I actually want to watch this film. Like, what was it called again? So, and that's the thing. So it is really designed to feel disjointed and what it is in every aspect, whether it comes to editing or the way we shot it and music and everything. That's how it was designed, you know?
Yeah, it's, I mean, you nailed everything I was thinking about that whole thing, right? Like, if someone comes and tells you that, hey, this guy gets abducted by aliens, he's a drug addict, and then he does all, I'm like, okay, how can I get this movie into me now? I'm quitting my job today and staying home and just watching Friday. It's like, that's what it's all about.
The other thing was, you know, also try to make it unpredictable as possible, because, you know, when we watch films now, we're like, this is going to happen or this is going to happen. It's going to be one of them. It's always one of them. So I really wanted to, you know, keep the audience on their tiptoes, not knowing like where the fuck it's going, and not in a bad way, just an unpredictable way that, you know, that you're not going to guess what scene's going to come next, you know?
I did not see that Baby Fried Berry come out in minutes. That was awesome. So, okay. So do you think, now this is a more of a, I guess, an airy type question, but do you think when the aliens do invade, that they are going to come and do some more interspecies procreating? That Fried Berry was, he's like, okay, this is now an advertisement. Hey, you guys can come to Earth, because, you know, maybe that type of alien isn't the ones that are, you know, having so much sex. So it's like, yeah, you get to come here. They can do all this fun stuff like this. Do you think the aliens are going to come to invade, or are they going to come to help procreate and make more babies?
I think make more babies. I think make more babies. Yeah.
Yeah, especially like they only take a day. It's like, okay, here we go. This is. I mean, we're already
the world will be overpopulated in a week.
Yeah.
You know, in a week. It's like, well, we have to bring COVID back like straight away, you know.
Alien COVID along with the extra procreation. Okay, so this is the final question we had scheduled, but you kind of talked a little bit about your influences. In the movie, there was a scene where you're talking to, or Barry's talking, and it kind of gave me influences, like you talked about, you know, the horror influences, some of the comedic influences. But there was a scene where it kind of reminded me a little bit of Jay and Silent Barry. Was the scene that Barry's just sitting there against the back of the wall and you're just chatting it up with him, blah, 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 blah. Was there any influence there, or is that just in my mind? Was there a
No, yeah, not at all. Are you talking about the club scene when they're in
the club?
Yeah. No, for me, that was just, I think we've all been there at some point where we've been in a bar, in a club, the music's too loud, and you've always got that one person just yapping on about, and you can't really fucking hear what he says, but it's also pointless of going, what, say it again? What, sorry, I can't hear you. What, say it again? It's just, you know, we've all been there, and that's why I was just like, how many times have we've been in a club, somebody's going on about something, and you go and, oh yeah, and you just agreeing to what you're saying, but you actually have no idea unless the person goes, what, really? And you're like, sorry, say it again. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. So yeah, it was very much just those like funny, like little personal experiences, and the fact that, Barry only says the odd word that he says, so he thinks that they're having like
conversation,
he's listening and having a conversation, and that's why it's really clever. Like when he meets the girl in the club, and the girl's like, she goes, come back to my place, and then Barry goes, my place. And the only reason why he's saying that because she said that, so she thinks, oh no, he wants me to go back to his place, and then she goes, my place, yeah, and he's like, yeah. so it just works out right, how the lines were delivered, and she thinks this and he thinks that, and and it just goes with the flow. And I thought that was just another cool creative thing with the mimicking, how how something could feel like you're having a conversation with somebody, but you're not at all.
Yeah, true enough. So basically, you're saying Kevin Smith had no influence on Fried Barry whatsoever.
Sadly not. Sadly not.
Not sadly. Fried Barry might have been a different movie if it was. So that's good.
Yeah. I like Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith's cool. Smith's cool.
And
but
he's a vegan, like my boy Bryce here.
Okay, that's cool. Fried Barry's he's actually a vegan. His character, because if you notice, he doesn't eat any meat. So when he has the hot dog, the sausage falls out and he just eats all the bread. And then when he's in the supermarket, he has the cheese, but he's like not enjoying it like whatsoever. So we kind of made him like a vegan without saying it.
So that's why I connected with him on another level.
That's why you connected with him. That's why you like it so much.
The question is, does Barry also like anal sex? So
yeah, like Bryce, he also loves that.
Well,
I'll get him to call you. Barry will call you tonight.
Okay. He just followed us on Twitter today, so we'll be hopefully connecting with him in the future. Maybe have him on as a guest too, because
so that's the only thing with Gary. He doesn't do any interviews.
None.
He doesn't do any interviews. He's very private when it comes to that, which I think is cool. I think it gives him a bit more street cred, where everyone's like, who is this guy? So
mystique.
But
that's what I've been asking for months since I've seen the movie. Who is this guy?
And and that's the thing, going back to Gary, doing the part and everything, there was nobody better to play this part. Like, it had to be Gary. He gave 120%, and this was his big shot, and I think he knew it was his big shot to do this. And nobody could have done it better than him, and he gave it his all, and he was always willing to do like another take and another take, which we had to do that sometimes, but he was the best. He was the best. It was so fun. We had a huge, it was huge fun making this movie. I think anybody that watches Fried Barry, I'm pretty sure that they can see that we had a fun time making this movie.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, and everybody who watched it, and who's not an idiot, would have had the same trip. So, thank you so much for joining us. We can't thank you enough. Do you want to tell our listeners, where they can find you on social media, anything you want to tell them about what's coming, or, what you're doing this Saturday, whatever?
Yeah. So, I think if you haven't checked out Fried Barry yet, check it out on Shudder. I have a few experimental films getting released and hitting festivals. But if you're looking for more information on me or Fried Barry, you can go to ryankruger.tv or frybarry.com, and on Instagram, Ryan Kruger thing or Fried Barry, and just keep a lookout. And we're always still posting like crazy stuff with Fried Barry, and little marketing videos that we've done, and we've still got loads of them to be released. So I think just keep a lookout for the new experimentals. And as I said to you guys, I'm shooting a new film in August. So just keep a lookout.
Well,
Awesome.
if you need a Canadian shooting site where you can stay at Bryce's or my house and just chill.
Amazing. I'll bring Barry. I'll bring Barry for you, Bryce. All right. I'll bring him. I'll talk you up. I'll get you guys sorted. Get you guys connected.
Right.
Nice.
On. Lots to look forward to.
Yes, there is. Well, thanks everyone who's listening right now, especially our ragers. Find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Film Rage YYC. Check out everything Film Rage at filmrage.com, including our merch site for Redbubble and TeePublic. See what we look like on YouTube channel by searching Film Rage Podcast. We are always wanting to make this a raging blast for all listeners. So please comment, like, and subscribe, and send us an email to filmragecalgary@gmail.com. Dare us to see terrible movies to fuel our rage. But no matter what you do, please make us rage. That's it for this special edition with Ryan Kruger. Rage on.
Rage on.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
You bet.
Peace out, bro.